All right. I guess this is kind of an apology, a YouTube apology. I put out a video yesterday talking about APS-C, micro four thirds, full frame equivalency, focal length equivalence, like micro four thirds, if you're using a 25 millimeter lens, it's a 50 millimeter equivalent, 2 times, right? 2 times crop factor. If you're using APS-C, it's 1.5, or I guess Canon's 1.6. I don't know what Fuji is, but and full frame is full frame. And I started to talk about, well, here's how it started. I did some shooting the other day. Now, I just bought a micro four thirds camera recently. I needed a backup from my Panasonic S5. I've just been shooting full frame for a long time now, but I needed a backup, and I found a Panasonic GH5 really cheap, and I didn't want to spend that much money, so I just bought it. And it's like a legendary camera. It's got all the options that I want, 4K everything. It's a great camera, and I'm somebody who doesn't really use autofocus, really hardly at all. And I hope I'm in focus right now. I just set this up real quick. I'm using a Helios 44-2. I'm shooting at f4, so hopefully I'm in focus. But if I'm not, go easy on me, because I got the crap beat out of me today, which was a good thing. So anyway, I got this micro four thirds camera, and I started to use it over the last week just to shoot with it and get used to it, And so I took a talking headshot that I was doing outdoors somewhere, and I was probably about 10 feet from the camera, and I was using a 35 millimeter lens, again on a micro four thirds camera, so it's a 70 millimeter equivalent, right? I was using a Meike, Meike 35 millimeter f1.4. And when I looked at it in post, I was like, that doesn't look anything like 70 millimeter, lens took that shot. Like, I know what I look like at 70 millimeters on my Panasonic S5. I have a Sigma 28-70, and when I shoot at 70 millimeters, I know what that looks like. I know what the compression looks like. I know the nuance. That's a word I kept using in the other video. I know what the nuance is of, what my face looks like, what my features look like, what my body looks like at 70 millimeters. And what I was looking at was what 35 millimeters looks like. And so I was like, what's up with the equivalency thing? It's not going to look the same. Now, I understand the framing. Yes, the composition, of course. That is an equivalent. But what I was saying was that the look is not the same. And I guess this is what people mean about full frame look, or APS-C look, or, crop sensor look, and I'm not somebody who's like bokeh crazy, I honestly, I just shot a full-length feature film, and I shot at f8 most of the time, because I find that to be enough of a blurry background. I mean, yeah, there are shots like close-up, really intimate parts of the film where I blew out the background because it was appropriate, because I wanted the audience to just be focused on my face for those shots, because I'm also the only actor in the film. But generally, I don't shoot like that. I'm f8 most of the time. I'm more about trying to create a painting with each frame. I'm really, really into the composition and just trying to make every frame look beautiful. And so anyway, the other day I put out this video, yesterday actually, and I started to talk about, how this, this crop sensor and, focal length equivalent shouldn't be in the same sentence. And, I was a fool for saying that, because it's not the case. And the reason I'm making this video now is because, I thought I learned so much from YouTube a few years ago, right? Like, I learned a lot. But also there are a lot of YouTubers who will just say anything, you know what I mean? Like, they'll just say anything. And I come across that all the time, and they're just wrong, you know what I mean? Like, they'll just say something, and then somebody like me, a few years ago, who's a total beginner, is going to take that information and just, be set back months or years or whatever. It's just not right. And I feel like I did that yesterday. Like, I was talking out of the side of my mouth. Like, I didn't really know what I was talking about. And I guess an analogy that I could use is that, I am a good driver, right? And as a matter of fact, I don't think anybody on earth can parallel park with me. Like, and I think a lot of people from New York City feel this way, but nobody could see me when it comes to parallel parking. I can get into any space, right? So I know how to handle a car. I know how to drive. I know how to park. I know how to drive a clutch. I mean, I'm good with it, but I have no idea how a car works. I couldn't fix a car. I could change a flat tire, but beyond that, I can't do anything, I don't know, I know how to I know how to check my oil. I don't know how to change my oil. I don't know how the engine works. I don't know how the transmission works. I don't know anything, And so I know how to shoot with a camera. I know how to make things look good, I know how to choose, aperture appropriate to the feeling and the mood that I'm looking for when I'm working on a story, Like, to me, that's a very spiritual thing, Like, to me, choosing how much of a blurry background, or, I don't even look at it as blurry background. I never really thought of it like that. I just look at it as setting the mood of that moment, you know what I mean? Like, making it feel the way I want it to feel, and that's a visual aid in doing that, And so I really love working with aperture. And, I also appreciate when I have a fast lens and I can shoot in low light and just turn it, get it wide open and do that. But I don't know how it works. I don't know about, how much glass is in the lens. I don't know the physics of it. I don't really understand the math. Like, I don't know that. But the problem is, I was talking like I really knew it. Like I was talking like I was some kind of expert when it comes to the physics of lenses, the making of them, the construction, and even though I didn't talk about construction or anything like that, and I was being very sincere. I mean, one thing I am is genuine all the time, 24/7. I'm not about any bullshit at all. And so I thought I knew. And, but it was based on what I saw, like a 35 millimeter lens on a micro four thirds camera, which is a 70 millimeter equivalent, looked nothing like what I look like out of a 70 millimeter lens on my full frame camera with pretty much the same frame. So I think the compression, I was told today that, it's like all lenses are kind of irregular and they have their own personalities. And I work with only vintage lenses, so I don't really know why. And honestly, this is the problem, and this is why I'm apologizing now, I guess. I don't really even care I don't care how a car works. Maybe I should, but I don't. I just want it to work, I'm like, I don't know how to fix anything. Like, I'm the guy who calls the super when there's a leak in my apartment. I don't know how to fix anything. Like, I've been a homeowner, and I am a disaster when I own a house because I can't fix anything. I am definitely the guy who spent most of his life calling the super, I don't know how to do it. If something happens to my camera, I bring my camera into a guy in Pelham, New York to clean the sensor. So, I learned a few things yesterday. First of all, and I've known this my whole life, and I don't know why I did it, but don't speak when you don't know what you're talking about. But especially on YouTube, which is an educational platform where people come here for information, I feel really badly that perhaps somebody might have come, watched my video yesterday, taken that information, and then they'll never come back to my channel, and they're going to take that knowledge like that was good knowledge. And I think a lot of what I said was valid and true, but I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to focal length equivalence and framing equivalent and all that, and why it is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't know the makings of the lens and the relationship of the lens to the camera and how far it is from the how far the actual lens is to the sensor and how that works, and why. I do know that the closer I get to the lens, the more distortion I have, and depending upon the focal length, if it's a fisheye lens, it's going to look like a clown, like ridiculous. But I think that's probably why the widest lens that I like to use is a 28 millimeter, because it doesn't really ever distort me. But 28 millimeters looks vastly different than using a 50 millimeter. And that's why those are the two focal lengths that I use to make my films. Now, I do it because I like the way they look. And I more importantly, I know the way they look, right? I know how they look, so I know how they help me to tell a story. And so that's something that I can, I'm an actor, right? I'm a performing artist, I come from the theater. I teach performance and writing workshops because I know that. I can I can help you be a better performer. I can help you get past your bullshit, you know. I can help you get to the most vulnerable, scary parts of you so that when people receive what you're doing, they really feel it, like they feel like they know you. And I can help you to be willing to do that, you know. I can help you writing, you know, write a script. I can help you with story structure, you know, how to make sense, you know. I can, you know, help you with exposition and all that kind of stuff, you know. I mean, I know how to do that, but I can't tell you why a 28 millimeter lens on a micro four thirds camera is equivalent to 56 millimeters. Like, I know it is, but I don't know why or how that works. And I actually can't prove, I guess, like, I think it is subjective maybe that it looks so different. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just in my head, but I think what I saw the other day, again, shooting a 35 millimeter lens on a micro four thirds and comparing that to 70 millimeters on a full frame camera, to me it looked completely different. It felt completely different, you know. There was a lot of nuance to it. There was just, you know, it was different. It's the only way I can describe it. And so, you know, I want to apologize, but also I want to thank all the people who came and slammed me, and nobody was rude, you know. Actually, one person was rude, but I blocked him from my channel and I got rid of him. You know, this guy was a jerk. But most people who came were very nice, very kind, and very helpful. And I actually learned a lot, and I appreciate it so much, you know. I appreciate people stopping. And I mean, I felt like a real YouTuber for the day because people were coming and kind of slamming me. And basically what they were saying is, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. And they were correcting me. And I received that. You know, I received that as positive, as good nutrition, you know, as something that's going to make me better, a better filmmaker, a better person. You know, whenever you're wrong and somebody corrects you and you receive that and you acknowledge it, you're better than you were yesterday. You know, you're better than you were when you made the mistake. And you're going to be even better tomorrow because now you can take that and apply it to your work. I can be a better artist because of that, you know. Now, does it really make a difference in my filmmaking? Not really. You know, but what it does do is make me better here on this platform. You know, makes me more mindful of my responsibility to, you know, always be sure that I know, you know, what I'm talking about so that, you know, so that somebody who comes to my channel can trust me, you know. And I'm not doing reviews, or I'm not a tech channel for sure. I kind of share my process and I talk about, that's really what I talk about, you know, the making of work, you know. Like, I'm going to do a play next year and I'm going to make a bunch of videos about my process of developing that work. And it's going to take a few years until it actually gets to a full production on stage because, you know, a lot of people think you can write a play and then just do it in a couple of weeks. Like, it takes years of development, you know. My first play was 6 years until it ran off Broadway, you know. Second play I did it for 5 years. So I'm going to share that, you know, my film. I did a film that took me 3 years to make. I just did another feature film that took over 2 years to make. So I can share my process of making the film. And like I said, I do know what looks good, you know, and I do know when to use my 28 millimeter lens and when to use my 50, you know, when it's appropriate. I do know how to choose aperture and how to experiment. I do know how to deal with light, you know. I do know how the frame, you know, what's inside of the frame, the composition is so important, you know. The interrelationship between myself and anything else in the frame or the actor, you know, like, I know how that works with storytelling. But yesterday I spoke on some stuff that I don't know. And I apologize for that, you know, and I won't do it again, you know. And I wasn't lying, you know. What I was doing was, and, you know, I complain about this in other people often. Like, a pet peeve of mine is when people argue with conviction about something that they don't know what they're talking about. It's just something they feel so strongly about. But you can't do that. That is not a good way to communicate, you know, to strongly put your opinion out there with regards to something that you don't really know. You shouldn't do that, you know. That's when you should stop and listen. And that's what I did today. I stopped and I listened and I learned a lot. And so, yeah, thank you so much for coming in here, to those who did, and sit me down and try to explain to me in the nicest ways, but, without any bullshit and not treating me like I was 12. Because, I am a professional artist, But no matter what level you're at in your performance or your filmmaking, cinematography, whatever, there's always so much to learn. And because of YouTube, like platforms like YouTube, there are so many people out here obviously willing to help and to impart their wisdom upon you. And if you don't receive it, you're missing out. And so I would be stupid to have the kind of hubris to not allow myself to receive what I got today. And I take it as a gift. And I take it as, like good nutrition, as grace, people not being cruel and not being assholes really, and just being kind and teaching me something. And so I got a lot of technical stuff out of it. I'm still not sure I quite understand it, but like I said, I don't really care all that much, but I care enough to know that I won't speak on it anymore unless I take the time to really study it. Like what I care about is, what's the movie going to look like? I think of the idea, I write the script, now I got to get it down and make a movie. And I got to make it look the way I want it to look, with lights and, pick the right lenses and get my framing together and all that kind of stuff, colors, wardrobe, and acting, like performance, like that's what I care about. Sound, audio is so crucial. The music, sound design, that's something, like I just finished a feature-length film. It's gotten great feedback so far. It's about to go through the festival circuit. But I sent it to a pretty, accomplished filmmaker in LA. I'm in New York. And he watched it. He was kind enough to watch it. And he said he watched it 3 times. And he said, I think you have something very special here. But I think you need to not show this to anybody. Go back and take your sound design more seriously. And actually, the music is astounding in the film. But he even said to me, I'm not even sure you need that. As beautiful as it is, I think if you have the proper sound design, you will have something major. So, I don't really have the budget or, I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I will damn sure be paying attention to that in this next project that I'm already beginning. And I learned so much from that because the thing is, I felt that way, and I thought I did attend to the sound design pretty well. Like I got some great, sound effects and things like that were necessary for the film. But, it's funny, it's interesting because right before I sent him the film, I watched the documentary about a runner, an African runner. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Bone and Michael Del Monte. They have The Art of Documentary, and they showed a documentary that they did years ago. And it was funny because I was watching it and I heard a voice in the film, in the documentary. I was like, that sounds exactly like my friend Phil Wharton. And as a matter of fact, what the guy is saying is exactly something that Phil would say. And it turned out it was my friend Phil Wharton, and this was shot like 10 years ago. But anyway, it was about a runner, a world-class runner. And the first thing I noticed about it was the sound design, the running, the wind, the people he was around, the trucks, the cars, the animals, that was one of the most prominent things for me. And I remember thinking to myself, damn, I need to really get that together with my work. And then I send the film to this guy, and that's the feedback he gives me. So it's always good to learn. It's always great. And again, I apologize for the way I approached it yesterday. I won't do that again. But I thank all of the people who stopped and mentioned it to me and stopped me in my tracks. And I receive it, and I'll do better in the future. And I just want people to know that they could come here and trust me, and if I do something like that, I'm always going to cop to it. And I'm always, I'm never above apologizing and doing better. And so that's it. And yeah, nobody could park with me. I'm telling you, I am the best parallel parker. I'm not saying that I don't maybe push the car in front or behind me a little bit, but that's a New York City thing. But anyway, look, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I feel weird saying this now because of what I did yesterday, but please subscribe if you feel I'm worthy of that. I really do want to build the channel. I'm trying to provide something that's helpful and unique. You know, it's just what I know best. So that's why yesterday was a real departure from what I should be doing, you know. And again, so please subscribe if you want to, if you think it's worthy, and please hit the like button if you like what I do. And that's it for today. I'll see you on the next video. I said what I said. Sorry about that. And thank you. And see you again soon. All right.